Yeah, so I'd say the other stuff that I now know about is so Dementia UK. They have like a kind of they've got a thing called Admiral Nurses. It's a little bit confusing because I know when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, is it like Admiral Insurance? Or I didn't know why they were called Admiral Nurses. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
sound like dementia or anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Like I since found out it's because the lady who started Dementia UK, I think it was a grandfather or father who was an admiral, and it was his nickname. So it's actually built on a really nice personal story. But they basically are specialist nurses that exist to help with anything around dementia. So it's a free helpline you can call, and whether you're as a young person, there's a person specifically for young people whose parent has young onset. But then also as a spouse or as like I know for mum, the biggest challenge was what can we access or how can we get help, and they exist for that as well. Basically, their job is you'll call and they will put you to the right person for your situation. But
Mhm.
the encouraging part is they've likely heard someone in a similar position before, and they kind of understand that it's not about you know it's they're there for you basically, whichever part of if you're the person with dementia, the person who's a family member or a friend, like they're there for everyone. And for mum, I only found out recently that after she was diagnosed, she waited for us all to leave the house, and she'd Googled something about dementia and found Admiral Nurses by chance. And to be frank, at that point, she was suicidal, which is very common with people who get the dementia diagnosis. But then I think it's like 8 times more likely if you're a younger onset. So she was in a tricky spot, and she called that helpline when we were all out the house because she said she knew she'd blubber. That was how she described it. And yeah, first time someone really spoke to her as a human, and to be frank, I see it as it saved her life. And that's why now I fundraise for Dementia UK. So this challenge I did was run 24 hours to try and fund 24 hours at the helpline. And that was kind of the thinking behind it. Because I only found it out really probably in the last 6 months. But yeah, Dementia UK, Lorenzo's house, which is, and then they're all free, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
There's no cost. I know I think it's Rare Dementia Support based out of UCL in London. I think they do a range of in-person groups, largely in London. Um, like my kind of sort of day job or trade is largely in digital marketing and things like that. So I find it often frustrating the way that these services and things sometimes are packaged
Mm-hmm.
because it's often not very clear, or it's not very searchable. It's very much I've heard about this thing. You should go and have a look. And when you look at all the booklets and brochures, it's very much sciencey or word heavy, and not even like dementia friendly and kind of fonts and colors and all that sort of stuff. So, but there is stuff, especially in the UK, there is stuff out there. And Lorenzo's house is often described as, oh, it started in America. Doesn't mean it's an American thing. So it's I can't remember the amount of countries, but it's still only English speaking at the moment. I know they want to change that because the majority of the world doesn't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that pretty much all of the states in the United States are there's young people that attend, and then I know there's a group from the UK, a group from Australia, a group from different countries across Europe, and some from Africa. Like it really is young people from all over. And I know for me initially it feels quite American, or it did do. And as a Brit, like it can be a bit abrasive, especially as like I don't know, I'm a bit of a dry Brit. So it's don't be put off by that.
Yeah.
Like there is like they're looking to have representation from all over, and I know they want to kind of change it, but just see it as it's a safe place that's free to access for you to feel understood and seen. And for me as a guy, like the idea of like a support group, it's not really a thing that appeals to me. I kind of go, I don't want to go somewhere and moan like in a strange way.
Yeah.
And it isn't that. Like it's you could talk about life stuff, you could talk about and you can get involved in projects. Like I know for often with being a caregiver or caring for a loved one, like it can be viewed as from society as a career gap.
Yeah.
And there's all these things you can get involved in at Lorenzo's house that is actually, come up with this session or come up with a social media post, or they really invite you in to be involved. So it kind of gives this thing that sucks and that's difficult a lot of you have your own agency to make a difference,
Yeah.
as much or as little as you want. Like the summit's a great taster because you don't, all these things, you don't have to have your camera on, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, you can come and go as you want. Really just showing up is in some way, just you being there shows someone else there that there is another person. So, you'll see it. There'll be people that don't show, and then eventually they're the people leading the summit. Or so it is, for something that's no cost and such little pressure, is so worth doing.